Hello, all you real estate investors in the world. This is Danny Weber, and we're going to be talking today about maximizing your rental property value using a few different strategies that I think are pretty basic. There's some advanced strategies that I'm not going to cover in today's video. We're also going to do a straight run through on this video, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of editing on this. And feel free to leave any comments if this is posted on YouTube, and certainly shoot me an email or give me a holler if you've got any questions about anything that we talk about today. Let's get started. So these are the companies that I am a part of in Austin, Texas. PM512, which is actually the Texas Property Manager, MyHomeSimple.com, which is a real estate mortgage and insurance company, the Texas Builder, which is a construction company, and then Investor Depot, which is a cabinets, countertops, and flooring store in Austin, Texas. And so we really run the gambit of businesses dealing with investors and real estate professionals and also retail clients. I like to keep things light. One of my favorite ideas to draw attention to yourself, and this really cool idea here. What's my experience? I'm a real estate broker, mortgage broker, property and casualty insurance broker, life and health insurance broker. Got a master's degree in business administration, certified quality manager through ASQ, certified Six Sigma Master Black Belt through ASQ, certified protection professional from ASIS, active investor, rentals, flips, assumptions, wraps, note selling, note buying, and I've got no losses ever recorded on investments. Now, I make a joke about that because I don't record my losses. So, but the thing is, if you're going to be an investor, you're going to have losses. You just got to accept them, move on with life. So, here are some variables that you're dealing with when you're talking about rental property. First one is cash and rental value. So, obviously based on location, condition, and size. Payment types, taxes, insurance, the homeowners association, and then you're looking at your gross rents versus and lease terms. And we're going to drill down on all of these and talk a little bit about them. Actual cash rental value, obviously based on location, the size of the house, number of bedrooms, lot size, ETJ, non-ETJ, in city, not in the city, condo versus single family versus townhome versus duplex, triplex, fourplex, the condition of the property, and then the market conditions. Basically, how many months of inventory you may have on the market in regard to leases. And second variable is the mortgage payment options. And again, you've got to have a strategy before you start buying rental properties because not all rental properties are created equally. If you've got an upcoming college tuition to pay for, you've got an upcoming marriage, your kid's 8 years old, and you know in 10 years that you're going to have to pay 60, 70, $80,000 in college tuition, then you may want to look at a 10-year note and just sell the property in 10 years, and then there's your nest egg for that event. What I like to show people here is the principal reduction on a 10-year versus a 30-year. Look how much more principal reduction you have here. Now, obviously the monthly payments are going to be a lot higher on the 10-year, and I've financed properties for 10 years, held them for 3 or 4 years, refied them into 30-year notes, and had the principal and interest reduced so much that they turn into just cash cows. So it's very important to figure out why you're investing. Is it, do you need the money in 2 years, 3 years? Is it a 30-year investment? What is it? And then tailor your mortgage strategy to that. Most people assume that fixed mortgages are the best way to go, and I disagree with them in a lot of ways because I think ARMs are where you get your best rates, and I think based on market conditions, you can have a plan. If you do a 5-year, 7-year ARM, you can have a plan that in 5 years I'm going to refi. And if you do the math, most of the time you're going to see that you saved more money on the principal and interest, even versus the cost of the refi. So do the math, have a plan, stick to the plan. I don't recommend interest-only loans. That's one of those loan programs that got a lot of folks in trouble back at the last crash we had in 07, 8, 9. So I don't recommend interest only. I definitely recommend going with the fixed payment or the adjustable rate mortgages right here. And don't get into these hybrid products. Just stick with the basic stuff. They won't steer you wrong. Taxes. One of the things that you have to worry about with taxes is just the range of taxes. If you look at this just sample of rental properties that I pulled up for this presentation, look at the tax rate here. You've got 2.5, 3.0, 2.1, 2.5, 2.3. So if you wanted to do a really intelligent search and set up some really good search parameters, one of the big things is going to be looking at the tax rate, and you can actually use that as a search parameter so that part of your search parameter is taxes maybe under 2.4 mils or 2.5, whatever it's going to be. And then from there, that's going to take you down to your next criteria. But look at the range here. So 1772 to 3385 just on this one screen. You can imagine having, close to $300 tax payment versus 100 and something, and what that looks like in your cash flow per month and per year is huge, huge. So look at taxes. Look for properties in low tax areas. House for sale by owner because my neighbor is a butthole. Stay away from these properties. Insurance, another big variable. Most people don't worry about their insurance. They call their insurance agent. They say, give me a policy. I've got a rental. Well, that's not good enough. Based on your strategy with this property, if you want to keep this property for 5 years, then you may want to go with a higher deductible, less coverage the first few years, and then max out your coverage, drop your deductibles the last couple of years, and just get all your items fixed and follow all your claims there. It's a big deal. I never recommend an investor go light on the liability part of their policy. And there are a lot of intricacies when you're talking about insurance strategies, and this is not going to be the presentation that we cover them. But the big factors when you're dealing with insurance are policy types, TDP ones, Texas Dwelling Policy 1 or 3, and there's some other policies that you can look at, fire only. The big deal is you want to make sure that you have wind, hail, and liability. And then you can get a bunch of add-on coverage like water breaks, mold, and stuff like that. Coverage amount, you want to make sure that you've got enough coverage to rebuild the house. And the deductible amount is going to be what you're comfortable with. If you're cash poor, you may want a low deductible amount. And if you have cash reserves, you may want to go with a higher deductible amount. And of course, it all comes back to what the policy costs in the different realms. So like a $500 deductible could be $500 a year more. And then you do the math. If I'm only going to hold the property 5 years and my increased cost is $2,500 over those 5 years, just using easy math right now, maybe worth it for you to get the lower deductible. It could be worth it for you to get the higher deductible and save the $500 a year in expenses. Here's some examples of that. So if you look at the one on the left, this is a $500 deductible. Cost is $1,233 a year. This is a $2,500 deductible. Cost is $708 a year. And then these are just a bunch of different insurance coverages. You really need to speak with and meet with your insurance professional in whatever state you're in to talk through this thing. But again, this has to be based on some type of plan, not just random, hey, insurance guy, what's the best policy for me? You need to know what strategy you're using on this specific property and how it feeds your bigger plan. Homeowners Association, self-explanatory, but take a look at these. Take a look at these homeowners associations and the costs. I mean, we go from 0 to $30 and all the way up to $377 a year is what you're looking at for these things. So again, when you're talking about cash flow, this is one of those things that starts to bite you. I personally don't mind neighborhoods with HOAs if the numbers make sense. I don't seek them out. I typically like ETJ areas, which are extraterritorial jurisdiction areas, but I will go to an HOA or COA if the numbers make sense. But again, the numbers have to make sense to your plan. Don't just invest in rental property to say that you're an investor. That's not the way this works. Gross yearly rents. How do you get your rents up? First month, 50% off on longer term lease. I can't tell you how important it is to try to get an 18 or 24-month lease, or even a 36 if you can swing it. Even with you maintaining the same rents over those years, or doing some type of ridiculously low increase in rent, it's still better than having one turnover. One turnover on a property, new carpets, paint, some repairs, you're talking $2, $3, $4,000 plus a month of vacancies. You could be up to $5,000 on every turnover. You do the math, spread out over 36 months or 24 months, and you're going to see that the return is much better in your favor for a longer term lease. reduce security deposit with higher rents. I'm not sure why um, investors really harp on the security deposit. If you've ever gone to court and had a tenant sue you to get their security deposit back, you're it's crazy the amount of power that these tenants have, and a lot of times they're going to get their security deposit back. Versus charging higher rents, they're non-refundable. It's not negotiable. So again, from my standpoint, I'd rather have a smaller deposit, charge more on the rents, and make it a little bit easier to move into the property. You can also do something like a security deposit that's integrated into the lease payment. So you can say, hey, just for simple math, I've got a $1,000 lease payment. I want $1,000 security deposit. I'm going to charge you $500 of the security deposit up front, and then you're going to pay the other 500 spread out over 1 year. That's not going to be refundable. And what that does is it lets people move into the property cheaper because as the property prices, the lease rates go up, a lot of people don't have $2,000 security deposit plus first month's rent at $2,000, but they do have first month's rent and $1,000 or first month's rent and $500. Again, it's always better to get the payments made on the lease and not the security deposit. That way, there's no arguments. And anybody that tells you that, oh, I'm using a $2,000 security deposit as a carrot so that they keep the property in good condition, they're crazy. You want to know if the property is going to be in good condition when they give it back to you? Go do a surprise visit at the location that they're living in now. Go look in their car. You can see how people live pretty quickly, and I can promise you that wherever they're living now, whatever condition that property is going to be the same condition as your property on the move out. And so that's just a simple rule of thumb, an easy way to check out how your property is going to look when it's done. Increased rent with home purchase savings account. This is a little bit of an advanced strategy. I'm not going to go into it here. Offer washer, dryer, fridge, and lawn care to increase monthly cash flow on paper and reduce debt to income ratios. The important thing here, and again, part of your strategy, part of your plan is if you've got a property with a note, PITI of 750, you're leasing it for 1,000, you're basically at a break even because the lender is only going to give you 75% of your rents towards your offsetting note. So if you can use creative leasing, like, hey, I'm going to charge you another $15 a month for wash and dryer. I'm going to charge you $15 for a refrigerator. I'm going to take care of your lawn for $65 a month when it only costs you $40. Long story short is the more money that you get per month on your lease, on your specific lease, the less it offsets or the less it hurts your debt to income ratios. So you'd rather have a $1,200 lease with a $750 note than a $1,000 lease with a $750 note. Extremely important, especially if you're going to be buying multiple properties. You've got to always worry about your debt to income ratios. Lease terms to reduce cost. We talked a little bit about this. You want to definitely go with a longer term lease. You want to make sure that the tenant is on the hook for the first X number of dollars of repairs. And this just keeps the tenant from nickel and diming you about everything. Now, I'm not sure if this is legal in every state. I'm talking about Texas right now. Typically, I'll do 75 to 150 depending on the price point of the lease. If you need to do unnecessary maintenance, meaning as part of your lease, you should have the tenant replacing the air filters. If you do an inspection, the air filter is not replaced, you have to replace it, then you need to charge them for that. Upon move out, I always include professional carpet cleaning, professional house cleaning with the receipt. And you can actually offer to take care of this for the tenant for a fee to keep their security deposit, which is a big deal. No smoking inside, obviously, non-refundable pet deposits. I like to do pet rent as well as non-refundable pet deposits. So like right now, I'll charge $200 pet deposit, and then I'll charge another $15 to $20 a month on pet rent. And again, the rents are going on the lease payments, which increase my buying power later on my debt to income ratios, and they're not refundable. I don't have to go to court and argue about them later. And not responsible for broken food disposals. A lot of times, food disposals and hot water heaters are typically going to be your biggest maintenance items in your rentals. And I don't like to be responsible for those because I don't want to go out there when they're throwing forks down there. They've got baby noonies and all that other crazy stuff. Putting it all together, let's talk about just buying a random rental property, meaning you're Joe investor, you want to be an investor, You talk with an agent, and they go out and find you a rental property. P&I $358 a month, 75,000, 30 or 4%. We're using really low numbers just for math right now. Taxes at $282, insurance $102, HOA $30, total monthly payment $772.77, gross rent's $1,050. You can look at your monthly and your yearly cash flow versus having a targeted rental purchase. We're looking at the same P&I, but we targeted a lower tax area. We actually manipulated our insurance in our favor because we have a strategy. There's no HOA, and so our total payment's $564, gross rent's same amount, $1,050. And look at our increased cash flow just by spending a little bit of time putting together a plan and targeting specific areas for your rental. Huge, huge. And then you take this math and you multiply it over 2 or 3 rental properties, and you go from, let's say you've got 3 properties, you go from 3,300 on the non-targeted to the targeted of 58. You multiply that $2,500 increase times 3, you're making $7,500 a year more. Or if you go over 10 years, that's $75,000 more over a 10-year period. It turns into big numbers pretty quick. And that's going to be it, guys. Thanks for sitting through the presentation. Again, keep in mind that if you have any questions, you can email me or leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. Again, product offerings in Austin, Texas are going to be the property management company, PM512, which is the Texas Property Manager, myhomesimple.com, which is real estate, mortgages, and insurance, the Texas Builder Construction Company, and InvestorDepot.com, cabinets, countertops, and flooring. And then again, my email is here. Certainly drop me a line or look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm on all the social media platforms. Thank you so much for your time. This is Danny Weber, and look forward to being with you on our next video.